All right, well, this is about the fourth time now that we're trying to do this intro because, again, we screw it up, and it's usually the man across from me sitting there. So let's give a round of applause, see if we could do it this time. Go ahead.
What is up, guys? It's Friday, and every Friday is a great Friday. Tonight we have NBA, we have Major League Baseball, and we have a special guest.
Been lit, boy. Everything goes.
We now return you to regular programming.
All right, today on the show we have Jarvis Johnson, former Baltimore Raven, join us on the show. How you doing today, Jarvis?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing, Tyler?
We're doing great. It's a pleasure to have you on, man. It's been great talking with you before we started recording, and I'm excited to get into this.
This has been a tough one, Jarvis. We have been playing text tag for a while now, and I really appreciate it. We know you're busy. I mean, you've been all over this country, and I'm glad you're taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
It's a pleasure to catch up with you all because, like we discussed via text, scheduling was very important and it's crucial and it's vital in today's society. But we do make time for what we think is best and for the things that's right. And I believe that you two are doing a wonderful thing, engaging amongst each other and also engaging with athletes across the country to put out the information that is necessary.
It's a lot of fun. It really is. And this is going, it's not, I don't want to say the next level, but, you know, we're actually getting so educated on what sports are about. And my view has totally changed. They're no longer like overpaid athletes. There's actually more to it now. And the past few interviews that we've had, it's just amazing what we've learned.
That's great to hear, man. Every day, man. So everything is evolving. I mean, as the seconds tick, things are evolving every single day.
All right, we got to ask you. You're a cornerback, and you've always, I guess.
I was a slash. Sorry, I was a slash. So I was a cornerback, a safety, a nickel, and a dime. So yeah, go ahead. I just had to throw it in there.
Well, I was going to ask you, was that always a position that you wanted to play? Did you always think about defense, or did you ever want to be on the offensive side of the ball? Because if you're a good corner, I'm assuming that you could be a great receiver as well, because you basically know most of the routes.
Exactly. It started with me playing offense. I was a running back. I also was a receiver, like you said. And I would play quarterback whenever my coach asked me to go to quarterback to run the triple option and option, or just drop back and keep the ball drivers and run. So I did have the opportunity of playing both ways in high school. And then when I got to college, I started to solidify a spot. And my head coach at the time felt like, you too aggressive. So, and I also agree with him. I would prefer to play cornerback any day over receiver and running back because I get to issue the blow.
Yeah.
Meaning that I get to be able to be the one to determine who's going to get this impact. And so I'm not taking no impact. I'm going to give you the impact. And I took pride in providing impact, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like offense was for the pretty boys, disrespect to nobody that plays offense, because somebody has to do it. And I felt like defense was for guys that really take that same attitude and portray that same image on the field. So offense, you have to be more of a finesse type guy. And I think that goes with your personality too, when you really start to break down the science of it. And then on the defensive side, it's more aggressive. And I feel that for me personally, I was able to adopt more to issuing a blow than taking it.
I think we heard that once before from a famous linebacker for the New Orleans Saints. Michael Motti told us that it's better to delay the wood than be the guy that gets hit.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
I certainly agree. I tell you, he couldn't be no better than that.
So what you're telling us is that you'd rather have a pick six than a touchdown, right?
Oh, no.
Absolutely.
Wait.
All day. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Don't go any further with that story. Jarvis,
I'd rather get an interception and show them that I can play offense too. That's why I love it, because we got the opportunity to also do that. So, you actually was right on the money, Tyler.
Well, we're going to talk about a special interception later on, Jarvis, and I'm going to talk about my vision of it, what I saw, and then you're going to tell me what you did.
Okay.
How is it for someone who grew up in Miami, down in the Florida area, how is it that come up here to the north to play in our weather. Is it something that it's hard to get used to, or like feeling the ball, the leather in the cold weather, and is it tough to get used to?
Yeah, it was. Definitely started with being homesick, I'll tell you that much. I was definitely homesick. But my mom chose my college. And it's a funny story to it. Coach Ciano, he was at University of Miami at the time, and he was recruiting me to the U. And then, of course, he was at the house every single day, pretty much. And his recruiting tactic was to win your parents. And I noticed that, and he also shared it with me. But then you had other coaches coming from other states, coming from other states, and they don't have as much time as he had with my parents. Actually, my mom at the time. So he built more of a relationship with her than any of the other coaches that come from out of state. So she felt like more comfortable with Coach Ciano. And then he goes along to take the head coaching job when Butch Davis go to Cleveland Browns. Coach Ciano take the head coaching job at Rutgers. He goes back to his home. He goes back to his home, and he's a Jersey resident at the, that's where he's from. And then, boom, he comes back around and say, "Hey, Mother Johnson, I'm taking the head coaching job at Rutgers University." He called the house, and my mom was like, "Okay, where my son is going, where'd you go?" And I left it to her. That was my only way to repay her back for all the support, the priceless efforts, her energy, her love, her compassion, her diligence. I mean, everything that I can call out, it was never enough that I can do to show her how thankful and my gratefulness to her. So I said, "Mama, it's up to you. You choose my college, and I'm going to go and I'm going to represent." And she said, "Well, you're going to New Jersey. You're going with Coach Ciano at." And I was like, "You sure? You serious?"
I don't want to go up there, Mom.
So I started taking my visits. And, of course, I went to a lot of northern schools for a few visits. And I started adjusting then because that's when I started to see the snow. And I was playing in it. I was making snow angels. I'm making snowballs for the first time. And I felt like embracing the weather because in the South, where Miami, we don't get to see 4 seasons. So it was more so adapting to being away from Miami in regards to adjusting to the weather. I embrace the weather like crazy because we can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I ain't sitting on the sideline. I got to throw that in there too. I didn't sit on the sideline, so I was always falling.
Now, from living in the north, fall's beautiful, spring's fun, summer's beautiful. I'm not a big winter guy. At any point while you were playing football, was it tough knowing that you had that beautiful Miami weather back down south, and yet you were up north?
Yeah. And I love when we play southern teams and southern states, like away games. That was the best, especially playing against the University of Miami. I had my old fan base from Rutgers, especially my family. And it was great to go back home to play on my home territory, So I guess I had to see, and I had the opportunity to experience both worlds. Playing in the north in the cold, adjusting to that. But for defense, again, I don't have to worry about carrying no ball on defense. So I know how to create a fumble. I know how to strip the ball, especially in the cold weather. I will utilize the weather on my side as a defender. I will use it on receivers. I'll do it with running backs if I ever had to come across, and even with quarterbacks when I'm blitzing. I know the ball is getting a little bit harder to hold, and your fingers are getting cold. Some quarterbacks like to wear gloves, some don't. So I know they feel that cold weather, and under that center, so it's different for me to complain about the weather. Mm-hmm. But I did love it, but I prefer, of course, anyone would prefer to play and wear a nice 80 degree, 75 degree.
Yeah, Florida.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody
Absolutely.
would. Everyone, I think, would.
You talked about the recruiting, and recruiting now has gotten so crazy. I mean, Jim Harbaugh. I'm a Michigan guy. I love watching the University of Michigan. That man has gone as far as he went to a guy's house and climbed trees with him, and he even had a sleepover at one of the recruits' house. It's amazing what these coaches will do to get a recruit.
I'm telling you, man. At my school, showing up. I wasn't even out of school yet. The support coming from coaches on that level. I mean, you're a senior in high school, and you're getting recruited by so many schools, and you have to try to build these relationships with so many coaches that's coming, and it's tough, but you will be able to determine who's genuine, who's sincere, who cares, who cares about your future.
Yeah.
And steps away from the football talk, and steps away from that, and shows that instant gratification of building that rapport. And that's one thing that I feel real comfortable with, like moving forward a little when I became a coach. I wanted to build that instant gratification of rapport building. You try to build as much relation as you can when you're on the road recruiting. So, I mean, Coach Jim, man, I mean, that's something that is not really heard of, but I'm pretty sure everyone has their strengths as a coach when they're doing their recruiting tactics, and I think that was one that he tapped into. Yep. And he used it to his advantage, which is a great tactic.
Now, I know you said that your mom basically picked the college you wanted to go to, but was there at all any university that you specifically was like, okay, I'm hoping that maybe they'll give me a call?
The U, right? Miami, the U.
Well, yeah, I was a fan of the U.
The U has a lot of history.
I'm thinking like, hey, man, I want to go to the U because that's an unofficial visit for me. It don't count for me to go there because as long as you don't get on the plane to fly out of your state, it's an unofficial visit. So you have a certain amount that you can take officially, and you also have unofficial visits that you can take. So that was just a drive.
I didn't know
or
that.
A bus ride. So for me, I was like, well, hey, if it happens, it happens. But I wasn't really focused on being recruited. I was a student that put education first, and whatever happened, happened. Because I'll tell you guys another funny story. Some of my best friends, and they still my best friends today, asked me to play on their football team to help them win a championship. I didn't play football until I was about organized football. I didn't play organized football until maybe 11 or 12.
Okay.
And then that's considered like a late bloomer. But they saw that, dang, man, he's fast, he can catch, he's throwing. And my mama couldn't afford for me to play optimist football down in Miami because of the price.
Yeah.
And then I had some best friends that said, look, man, my parents are paid. So I felt like they was already investing in me to play. So I said, I might as well perform to the greatest. And you know what? That's what we went and did. And that's how football started for me as a student athlete.
That's awesome.
It wasn't me that said I want to play football and go to the NFL. Nevertheless, I had dreams. I didn't have any dreams. I didn't have no aspirations of it. But once I started to play and get the hang of it and notice that I can compete just as everyone else and I can separate myself in a unique way, I felt that was an opportunity. So, and then the support, I mean, it just started coming like crazy. And it ended up happening for me, man. But I never had a dream, or I never imagined taking it this far.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got to tell you something funny because my son played football, and he played with Saquon Barkley at Hockendaco over here, and they played on the 90s. And I'll never forget the first time he went to practice, they had him in the running back position with Saquon and I think Butchie Tully and all them. So then the coach, I mean, now my son is like the smallest, and
it was the first time I ever played football.
He's the skinniest kid on the team. And the coach goes, we need a volunteer for center. And my son raises his hand. So
I didn't know the positions
Jarvis,
back then.
they made him center, and you know what they did? They showed him how to chop block. So all he did was snap the ball and fall to the ground.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then the following year, my other son, he was like, he saw the excitement Ty was having in football, so he wanted to play. So they put him at the corner position. So he never played football before in his life. So I'll never forget it. They ran a sweep his way, Saquon and all them running towards him, and he stood there. And they leveled him and ran him over like a freight train. And I think that was the last time he's ever played football. Funniest thing.
it took that experience for him to learn quick.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Tyler, stop to Tyler.
Yeah.
Hey, I could tell you, I did play
Hey,
defense the next year
you got
though.
some heart. I'm gonna tell you that right now, man. You got a lot of heart. Keep it.
The following year, though, he did get to play. He got to play linebacker,
No, I played safety. I think it
safety,
was.
and then he did have what? You had 2 interceptions or something like that in the end zone.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
So long.
it was
Nice.
fun. It was fun.
Nice. I know that was way funner than playing center top.
Yeah. But I want to ask you a question as far as when you do get recruited and you go to this school. Like, you see a lot of these schools nowadays, you see the recruiting quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. Some teams, they end up with 5 quarterbacks. How tough is that as a player going to a school where that position is packed? Like, do you come in there as a freshman and you're on, like, I don't want to say like a second stringer. Do you have the chance to just go right in there and become a starter right away from day one?
Well, it just depends on what school you go to and what level you plan on. You know, I'm gonna be honest.
Okay.
It depends on the school, and it also depends on the opportunity there, plus your competition level. So everyone has an opportunity to play on a collegiate level, you know. But then, now if you go into a school that's just fresh off a national title, I would advise students, if they're not considered to be a 5-star athlete and they're going to these big schools, out of the 5 or 7 that you have the opportunity to visit, I would recommend them looking at the roster, you know, looking at the depth of the roster so they know what they're up against before they go. A lot of coaches not going to say that because at times coaches just want to make sure that they can pack up their squad in an area where the need may be in the future, you know, within those 5 years, that 5-year span, that 4 to 5 years that we have as a college student athlete. And so you really have to look at that. You know, you can make an instant impact right away. And sometimes you might not start the first few games, but then again, as time progresses, you learn that system, that schematic system, then you can have another opportunity that sets you away from your class and also the class that's there in front of you. You know, so it really just varies on contingencies, you know, and it's hard to determine for every student because it's just so many athletes, man. And then when you go to a squad and you there and they already been in the system, so they know the plays, so they have an upper hand already just by knowing the playbook. But then you can have a talented young man, 5-star athlete, come in, knows the game but don't know that playbook. So he may have to sit out a while until he learned that playbook to make that adjustment to be able to be a starter.
Okay. And I feel like if I was a good player, I mean, obviously it'd be cool to have the big schools wanting to recruit you. But like you said, I would definitely be looking at the roster and thinking, you know, what's the best team where I can get looked at by the pros if I want to continue this as a future type of thing. I definitely agree with you on that one.
All day.
Yeah. Now, you ended up with the Baltimore Ravens. And this is a question I've always wanted to ask somebody, and every time I get someone on the phone, I always forget it. You always hear about the speed of the game, how it changes when you go from level to level. How true is that? Like, does it really change, and does it really different? Is it different from each level?
Oh, hell no. It changes like crazy. I mean, everybody fast. I kid you not. Everybody fast. Everybody is strong. Everybody tough. Everybody is everybody that they is. I'm telling you now. It's a major change. The speed of the game comes faster. But if you get some mentoring and you get some extra coaching and, you know, you can slow the game down, you know, you can. Now, I'm not going to step away and say that it's just difficult, you know, because for me, I love competition anyway, so you got to embrace competition. That stimulates my mind. Being competitive.
That was probably the best answer we ever got.
That stimulates me. I want a challenge. I don't want to play against nobody, sorry. I don't want to be in practice in my group and I'm the best player out there. I don't want that because a lot of pressure falls back on you again. So, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It does change from level to level. That is not a lie. That's the truth, 100% true. It really does speed up. And when I say speed up, life speeds up, your personal life speeds up, your professional life speeds up. Everything speeds up, man. I kid you not. It's a fast-paced game.
I got to add to that question, okay? A situation,
Okay.
a running back, 240 pounds, maybe, I don't know, maybe 230 something, breaks away, and he's running straight at you.
Oh,
I always wondered, what's going through your mind? Are you going to go high? Are you just going to throw your body at his legs?
No. I'm going to tell you like this. Now, I'm a strategist. That's number one. I'm a smart, intelligent, genius player. That's number two. And number three, all in one. So what I would do, I'm going to use the game. So if it's a sideline hit, I'm going to give him everything I got up top, and I'm going to knock him out. Now, and if he's coming in the open field, one-on-one, oh, yeah, I'm thigh boards and below, because I just want to make sure he get on the ground.
No.
I'm not going to get embarrassed. I don't want to be that guy they see he run over and then he keep going for a 6 because I'm the last line of defense.
Yeah.
And the crowd only sees that last person he runs over, and that would be me. So I said, no, that's not going to be me. I've seen it happen to the best. So I said, I'm going to be a smart player. If I have an open field tackle and 240-plus coming at me, oh, yeah, I'm chopping the thighs, and I'm going to make sure I keep my head and my eyes focused on his thighs because I don't want to miss.
Now, you got to
remember.
remember.
You're not jumping over me because I'm not shooting at your ankles. No, I ain't that scary. I'm not going to shoot at your ankles and then you jump over me and get a highlight.
I was just going to say something about that.
Oh,
no, that's not cool. I'm not one of those tacklers. I was known to be a for sure tackler.
Wow.
Open field, and that's what I had to do. That was my job to make sure I'm the last line of defense. I got to get him on the ground.
Well, I'm a big Saints fan, and I witnessed something just like that pretty bad about 2 years ago in Minnesota.
The whiff.
You see what I'm saying? So it happens, man.
Yeah,
well, I was just gonna say to you, you can't go too low because you have players like Saquon and Zeke who love to hurdle people.
They love to do it. They love to do that because they know that when a defender, if you swiping like all the way down there, man, I'm gonna do the same thing. It don't take much. You can see it. You have time to react. And football is a game of instincts. And those two guys that you named, they have some great instincts when they're carrying the ball. So you can notice it. You can tell when a defender's going to try to swipe at your ankles. Come on, he's going too low.
Yeah,
that's why
absolutely.
I would not go that low. For one, I like to hit a pop. I'm a compact. I like to give a blow. So I like shoulder pad to shoulder pad. I don't like to hit defensive guys. I don't like when a receiver looking for a ball and I come and clean him. That's not fair. I call that soft from a defender standpoint. If you hit a receiver or anyone that's not looking at you and they're looking for the ball, if you don't have the time to either get an interception or a pass breakup, then you get a solid tackle. You don't just wipe somebody out, and I'm a defender to say this, and a lot of guys probably would hate me for saying this because that's what they live for. It's like they start salivating out of the mouth. They're ready to just rock your world if you're not looking.
Well,
I wasn't one of those. I wasn't one of those defenders.
We were going to ask you that. We were going to ask you that. How tough is it now playing cornerback compared to back in the day where people didn't go across the middle. You went across the middle. That was a death wish.
Yeah, that was definitely a kill shot. Right now, it's powder puff. Right now, they're making it powder puff.
I thought that's what you said. I thought you said powder puff.
Back in the day,
that's what they're making it right now, man. It's an offensive world. When you get on the field, it's an offensive game. You know what I'm saying? Like they want it to be offensive. And, people want to see touchdowns.
Well, Jarvis, you know, back in the day, receivers going across the middle had T-Rex arms. They weren't extending those arms, man.
I'm telling you, man, they had them dinosaur arms for certain.
Yep.
They don't want to catch the ball. They looking at who's there. Okay, is that Ronnie Lott? Is that Rod Wilson? Is that Steve Atwater? Okay, Let me stop. They don't want none of that pressure, so they would stop.
Ronnie Lott was a beast.
Oh, man, I seen him clean people, man. Hey, Sean Taylor, God rest his soul, that was another friend of mine, a best friend of mine.
Prime time, Deion Sanders, man.
Oh, playing with Deion Sanders was the greatest. He would tell you, I get paid to get picks. I get paid to get interceptions. Yeah. I am not tackling nobody. And he would tell the coaching staff that he is not tackling. I don't get paid to tackle, coach. I get paid to get interceptions.
But you know what?
Deion will hit you. He'll hit you, but he gonna hit you when he knows it's a win-win for him. He's not gonna hit you when he know that, okay, I don't know now, I'm a swipe like. But that's the strength of what Dion possessed. He can do some of any and everything he wanted on the field, man. I mean, you talking about prime time, he stand and live by that name, man.
I remember when he was with the 49ers and him and the Banks guy, they were the best duo in football.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember Dion would get interceptions, and he would be he was running like a ballerina. He was on his tippy toes. No one would touch him, and he was high stepping from the 40.
Yeah, he's that fast. He would definitely be that fast.
Everybody knew his dance. As soon as he got to the 10-yard line, he was doing that Dion shuffle. Everyone did that.
Yeah, man, it was, man. Well known for that. But yeah, man, it's changing. The game changing, and I know for the safety purposes of concussions and the CTE and all type of migraines and just these common day injuries now from the impact. So I see why. More for longevity of the player and also for the entire organizations to continue to produce entertainment. So in other ways, I do respect the rules of the games, although they're changing. But then again, it also takes away from, other areas of the game. But I respect it in my heart. I still respect it, though.
And I totally agree with you that it's definitely safer for the players, that it's more an offensive game. The one thing that's frustrating to watch as a fan is just how many flags are thrown just for covering guys. That bothers me a little bit.
Oh my God, yeah, that pisses me off. One time I had a situation with a referee, and he called a flag on me one time for putting a receiver wrist while we was running. We're in stride for stride, but I learned something that I thought was a G move. If we stride for stride, so I like to show my confidence in a receiver's face, and I like to get them out their game sometimes. So I'm slapping his wrist so that way I'm throwing off his timing when he goes up to try to catch the ball, because I know it works every time. And I teach my cornerbacks this technique too. It's a technique, so they be getting all the extra about it. He called a flag because I was swiping at the wrist while we was running, and it was hard, sideline judge. But again, the receiver was whining, ref, let me get a flag. And then he got a flag for something that I feel wasn't pass interference. But now they're just going beyond the game when it comes to these flags. You touch a guy, come on, let's play football. Let's just play football. Well, we need to hire some new officials.
The thing that's crazy is you have to watch a video on how to properly sack a quarterback now, because if you fall on him with all your weight, it's a penalty. But I got a two-part question for you. The first one, did Dez Bryant, did he catch it in Green Bay? And the second one, do you think they should start throwing offensive fouls? Like when a receiver jumps up and he begs for that penalty, even though there's not one, do you think they should go 15 yards the other way and then they'll stop doing that?
I believe so, because consequences should, come with some rules of the game, on both sides. So just like if we get a PI, like you said, 15 yards, they coming. And then if they get a PI, which they can, it should be the same. Or, we lost of a down. So I agree. But the first question I didn't hear. What was the first one?
Did Dez Bryant catch that ball in Green Bay?
Oh.
It's okay. You could say no. We don't really care about Dallas over here.
I do. Yeah, I'm a Dallas fan.
I believe Dez Bryant is a good receiver. I believe if it wasn't for slow motion, if it wasn't for slow motion and replays, he caught the damn ball.
Absolutely.
But being that, they go up to the box and they do all this slow motion, and they call the NFL office too, because they would also give them footages on that same play. That's how it works too. Just by me being in the NFL office, I was able to go into and see some of the backstories of how it gets one-to-one, and where it comes from. They would have to instantly send in that same play. I mean, like, they be on it too, man. They would send in that same play immediately after it's not on TV, not the TV version, but behind the real life decision. So it comes from the officers too. So they play a part in it that no one else really talks about, because sometimes they don't really know where these calls are being made also, you know. So it plays a part in the processing of allowing them to have a say-so. But then I think that if it wasn't for slow motion and replays, he caught it. But now we got so much great technology. We got technology that's going to change you live right away.
It's just aggravating because he did a move after he caught it. He did a motion. He took 2 steps, reached for the end zone. The ball pops up in the air, and he catches it. And then Zach Ertz did the same thing in the Super Bowl, and it was a touchdown.
Well, now they changed that rule.
Yeah.
Yep. You see, and then they changed, like you said, they changed it now. Yeah. Yeah.
I just got
and that's the thing, man. The rules and regulations of football is changing right now as we speak.
Oh, it's constantly changing.
I mean, that has to be as confusing to you guys, knowing what the rules are each year, and then you have to know your playbook on top of it. That's a lot of studying for an NFL guy.
Yeah, it takes a lot. It really does take a lot. 90% of the game is mental. So that's the 90% part that falls within that. And it lets us all know that, you know, our coaches have to be up to date. That's why they do a lot of coaching conventions. That's why they go out and still educate themselves as well. The officiators, also, they have a clinic. They have camps that they also host throughout the time of the off season, and you know they want to make things better and grand as much as they can. So they're keeping up, and so do the coaches, and then down to the players.
Now, before we get into like everything you're doing nowadays, I just have one quick question. Since you're out of the league and since you're a little older now, do you have a favorite NFL team you root for?
Yeah, man, Miami Dolphins all day.
Oh my God!
I know you. Oh my God!
I was hoping you would at least said the Ravens.
Oh no, that's number 2. You feel me?
You know, Miami is a mess right now. They're projected to be the worst offense in the NFL this year.
They got a young quarterback,
though. Who believes in projections, man? Who believes in projections these days?
I do. That gives me hope, man. Because they got the Cowboys projected pretty high, so I'm kind of flying high right now.
Exactly, and then guess what? They projected pretty high, and then everybody's feelings are going to be hurt toward the middle of the year. Guarantee you.
Yeah, you know how hard it is to be a Cowboys fan in Eagles territory? It's very difficult up here.
Oh, yeah, trust me. Oh, boy, that's resiliency right there. That's what that is.
Hey, Miami has a good young quarterback in Josh Rosen, though. I think he's a good quarterback.
I know. You know what I'm saying? Thank you. Appreciate that. I really do, man. We're going to make some changes. We are. And I'm a diehard fan because that's my hometown. Of course, the colors and the uniforms are gangster. You know, I feel them colors hard.
Jarvis,
I love the Ravens, too. They got the hardest colors as well because black and purple is still royal. So that's still and white. I like that.
Hey,
but,
how old are you, Jarvis?
What you say?
How old are you?
Today I'm 35.
You know, you're still young enough, man. You can come out of retirement and go play for the Dolphins.
Yeah, man, you know what? I'm waiting on the phone call. You feel me? I told my agent and my attorney, boy, if the Dolphins call me, I'm going ASAP. I would go and play for free.
Hey,
I hope this gets to them.
I got him on my speed dial. I'll call them for you. They give out their number to everybody.
If they hear me, man, I should call Coach Rizzi. As a matter of fact, Coach Rizzi, he's a special teams coach there right now. And Coach Rizzi coached at Rutgers. He was our running back coach and special teams coach. So I linked up with Coach Rizzi a few times, and I should just go back to his office and be like, Coach, man, what's up? Yeah. Like, put me on, you know. But in all seriousness, no, they're going to get it right, man. I guarantee you they're going to get it right. It just takes time, man.
Oh, yeah, it takes time.
You know, it takes time when you're building anything out, especially in this league, man. Y'all see how the game's going. They're packed tight, you know, and it's very competitive, man. That's why you gotta love this sport because it's so competitive.
Hey, I gotta get into this one story with you, because my son is a diehard Saints fan. I want you to tell us about that special day you had. It had something to do with the 78-yard something or other. Why don't you tell us about what happened that special day?
Well, I'll tell you, money was on the line. It's a business. And I felt like I had to continue to perform at the best of my ability as I take the field. And I envision doing things before I do them. And it happened. All throughout practice, preparing for the Saints, I was getting PIs as far as pass breakups, sorry. And I also had an interception in practice that I felt confident enough going into the game. It's going to happen just like that for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I told myself that, I told myself through my motivation and also with the support of my coaching staff, great coaches there, great players around me. Oh, my God, you want to play up to that level. I'm playing with Hall of Famers, man, don't get no better than that, to be playing with Hall of Famers in your rookie year. So they're doing it, man, so it don't fall too far from me, So it was my turn. I'm like, if y'all doing it, I can do it too. So getting off the plane, my whole mind was set on it. INT for 6. I was not settling for nothing else that night. And there it happened. He tried me. I seen it all the way. I just saw it all the way. I saw it all the way. So I jumped it real quick.
I don't want to hear
So I jumped it quick. And now all the fast guys are downfield. So if a lineman or a quarterback or a fullback or a running back catch me, I don't need to be playing the game. I'm sorry. I don't respect their speed. You know what I'm saying? That's just me because I'm a speed guy myself. So it's just competitive. But all the receivers, they're down the field by now. And you're not going to catch me if you're in back of me 5 or 10 yards. You're not going to catch me from a straight run me down type thing. No, that's not going to happen. So I saw it. I hit the sideline, and I saw them taking the angles. This is called a pursuit drill that they still teach this day. It's called a pursuit drill. So you got linemen running to a cone. They thinking I'm a cone. I'm not a cone. I'm a real person. So they're trying to pursue. The quarterback doing the same thing. All I did was did a scrub, and I cut it up the middle. I cut up to the middle, and I cut back on everybody because they're doing the pursuit drill that we all taught. I'm like, come on, y'all gonna try to hit me with a pursuit drill, please? No way. So I cut it up and just shot down the middle, touchdown.
Now I gotta ask, who was quarterback for the Saints at that time?
Oh man, I forgot. I know it wasn't Drew though.
You don't have to say that.
I mean, if it wasn't Drew Brees,
in my mind, it was Drew all the way.
No, it wasn't Drew though. It wasn't Drew. It wasn't Drew. It wasn't Drew though.
I mean,
I know that, and I was mad because it wasn't Drew.
Look, I don't care. I don't care. I love the story because I grew up in New Orleans, and when I was down there, my Cowboys were 1-15, and all my friends down there. I hope you're listening to this tonight. I love it. I would have been high stepping and smiling.
Oh man, you gotta love it, man.
If it wasn't Drew Brees, it's not impressive to me. I'm just messing with it.
Yeah, it wasn't, man. It wasn't Drew. It wasn't.
That's awesome, though.
You were in the dome too, weren't you?
Yeah, we was in the dome.
That had to be a cool feel to stick
it
to
was
him.
good because I still felt like it was Drew anyway because he's a part of their team, and we still beat their ASS. Sorry for cursing. That's all that matters to me. We went out, we did our thing on their home territory and got a win. That interception was just a part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we took a W home. We flying back high, and we're flying fast, and we loving it. We dirty birds. We the real dirty birds. We the Ravens, so, that's how we fly. We fly boys.
You probably could have heard a pin drop in that dome while you were running down the sideline.
Oh, my God. All I heard was sad faces. That's it.
Hey, is it?
Sad faces. They knew it was over. They know it was over. I'm not getting called. I'm sorry. I just wasn't getting called.
I read a story about you. Is it true that when you were in the NFL, your mom said to you, do not come back to my house until you put a degree on my wall?
Absolutely.
That's
awesome.
True
story.
That's
awesome.
That's
a true story because, as a matter of fact, I went before I graduated. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of those guys that did go before my time. And I told her I'm fine. I'm like, Mama, I'm good. We good. We straight. Well, I ain't going back. I don't have to go back. That's what I was thinking. And nope. In the off season, she made sure that I went back to complete my 15 credits. And I went back to complete my 15
That's
credits.
awesome.
And what made it so awesome was I had the highest GPA during that time.
That's great.
I wonder why.
And you got your bachelor's at Rutgers, and then you got your master's at Tiffany University, right?
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Now-
And then I just continued to pursue school. So I felt the greatness of being awarded with a bachelor. And then I felt like, all right, Mom, that's it, I'm done. So she encouraged me to go back and finish my undergrad, but then I encouraged her that I would get a master's and a PhD. So I started my dissertation work already for my PhD right now.
That's perfect. That's great, man.
And now, Jarvis, we understand that you're a part of this awesome program called Ballers Get Degrees, which is absolutely amazing, and it's awesome that you're doing that. For those who don't know what that is, could you just explain a little bit exactly what that program does?
Okay, Ballers Get Degrees was something that I partnered on with my foundation. I had a foundation called Jarvis Johnson International Foundation. And at the University of Miami at the time, that's when I was at the U. I was working there as a coach, athletic liaison, and academics as well. So I was designing programs. And while I was designing programs, I'm designing programs for student athletes. I'm designing programs for non-student athletes. I'm designing programs for the at-risk. I'm designing programs for the upper echelon. So I'm designing all these programs through my foundation and bringing it to the University of Miami. You guys can have it just for hiring me, because that's my hometown, so I'm loving to give back. And I became a philanthropist at the time, and I'm still is today. But I partnered with a dean of international education. His name was Dr. Wilson. At the time, he was heading out because he spent over 20-plus years at the University of Miami. Mm-hmm. And then he felt that we should collaborate. He wanted to influence me more on changing my entity into more of a paid entity. I'm not saying that nonprofits don't make any money, because I would be lying. Because number one, I'll tell you a secret: the NFL is one of the biggest and highest paid nonprofits in the world. But let's not even go there.
Yeah.
So I started to work with him, and he retired from being a dean. He was a teacher, a professor, so he had this education track that he took for years in business and education. And being a dean at the University of Miami was, for me to work with someone of that caliber, I felt honored to be working with faculty. I felt honored to be working with staff. I was an ongoing learner, so for me, I was loving the opportunity because they got a chance to see what I'm doing now, what I bring to the University of Miami. So he felt like we should partner up, and we partnered up, and he had talks of turning it into a service to enlighten education, degree completion for players like myself. Players that like to commit earlier, like right after freshman year or going into sophomore year, that commit to going and entering into the draft. So we was thinking along lines of those guys just going back, and guys who did have 15 or 18 credits or even 21 credits shy, go back and complete your degree. So that's where our ideology came from with Ballers Get Degrees. And it was something that I felt great about. I felt that was something great for the millennials. I felt that it was great for student athletes. I felt that it was a message to the NFL and also to all professional markets in the sports world. And that's how we ended up coming with Ballers Get Degrees.
Well, I tell you what, I think it's very important what you're doing, because nowadays, especially with NBA, they're going to be opening up to 18-year-olds where kids are just going to be bypassing college altogether. And if you don't make enough money to sustain you until retirement, you're going to have a backup plan. And even in football, you're an injury away from your career being over. There's not. I mean, I think you have to be in a year for so long before you get lifetime benefits. Correct? I think it's like 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Right.
So if your career's cut short and you have no backup plan, it's going to be a tough life, especially if you can't do certain things. And I think what you're doing, it's amazing. And you're seeing more and more NFL players that are still playing today that are going back in the offseason and getting their degrees. The linebacker from the Cowboys just did it. He went back to Notre Dame and got his degree.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a great movement. And I also want to say something that I think that is important for just viewers and the audience to know. Not only did we create Ballers Get Degrees, but we also Well, and then I took lead on this by myself, an initiative by myself, but with the right resources to create and give back nowadays with Connect the Gap. Connect the Gap is my company that services K through 12 and colleges and universities. So it was to me, I felt like working in corporate with professionals, because I had a chance and I had the opportunity, and I still do, work with NFL players to this day. I wanted to find a way to insert my services on the lower level now before these guys get to this level when they making these decisions. And I said, you know what? I went back in my own chamber and I went back in my own office and I said, I got to find something else, something that can separate me a little bit, not too much, but just enough that I don't have to reinvent something, but just bring my innovation to it. So Connect the Gap, that's a K through 12 and also college and university educational organization.
Well, that's awesome.
And we partner with them through youth, with achievement and achievement gaps of education. We help with non-traditional design and curriculum through sports, social context, and in the education world. So we promote partnerships. And that's something that I love because it was me to come to the table and be in your zone again. It's a game. It's still a game. The mindfulness is a game if you're utilizing it right. You want to have a growth mindset. So I was always an educational guy.
Yeah.
So I felt like I have to find a way to insert those services because I think it would identify with me just as much as it will with any other organization that I work with. So it was non-traditional, and I felt like it was something that was a huge need because I broke down the U.S. Department of Education, and I see that it was a need for it. So this is where we get to the students get a chance to learn and practice academic skills that helps them regulate positive emotions and behavior through learning. And it takes them a longer way than just me just going on the field coaching or me just working with professional athletes and not knowing that all of us at one point were young, so I felt that I had to find a way to do this, and that was my way of doing it because life does start with a purpose, and I feel like we can connect those gaps for those students that do not have or don't understand what a purpose is, don't know how to plan or prepare for life. And that's where I started and kind of branched off to go and do Connect the Gap and also create something called Beyond the Game, which is another entity that works with all sports now. So it's broadened, and all that experience helped me get to this point today.
And again, I just want to say what you're doing is
absolutely amazing.
Do you guys at all have a number of how many athletes you've at least helped so far?
Oh, well, I'll tell you this. When I broke off so we put Ballers Get Degrees on pause because my partner, he was going through some life issues.
Yeah.
That he had to stop. He couldn't assist me in the area where I needed assistance, and we came to a mutual understanding and agreement on, all right, we can re-intervene on that later. Mm-hmm. So I didn't stop. I continued to go, and I stayed persistent with the flow. And then I know that when I continued to do what I was doing with my players at my name started ringing to the office, and I had an opportunity to work within the Players Association. So that's the National Football League Players Association, through a third-party contract with a company called Athlite. I single-handedly, I'm not even kidding you all, in my database, I ended up working with over 200 NFL players.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
well, Jarvis, you can be our agent.
Much. I didn't know that. I wasn't thinking about, I'm trying to do this to grow. I'm not doing this to that. I wasn't knowing. I was just loving what I was doing. And, when you love what you do, it's not work, So I felt like, all right, well, bring them on, bring them on. We're going to move them in. We're going to move them out, and that's the process we had. We had a nice process, and I was getting guys, retired players. I mean, former players, current players. They was just coming in and out, man. And by the time I looked up, I was already over 200 players.
That's amazing. That is
And then
amazing.
that's what continued to encourage me to keep on doing what I do, to continue this mission that I feel like a lot of us can be on. And it takes to find the right individuals, business like-minded individuals, people with passion, honesty, integrity, being loyal, committed, and dedicating yourself to something that something that will make you uncomfortable a little bit. And then you learn it again. We have to relearn. We're never too old to learn again.
Yeah.
And I felt like this is my way of keeping up with education. I love education. It was taught in my household. That was one of the first things that my mom made sure. Spirituality and education. That was all she was really on. Anything after that was a bonus. So she was happy, what I'm saying? I wanted to see her happy. And I continued to do it, man, and that's how many players through the league. And I can't even count how many college players, man, and high school players. That's countless. Yeah, that's countless. I never kept track of it. But I will start a process of keeping track now, because I learned that data collection is something that sells.
But
in my market now, in my market as an entrepreneur, that's what a lot of employers, organizations, they're looking for. So I had to learn that to keep track now. So I'm keeping track now, but I didn't lose track of the players that I work with. And I still work with to this day now through the NFL Alumni Association. I also partnered and I work with the NFL Alumni Association that help players tap into their benefits. I help players, current and former players, retired players as well. That's the mission that I've been on. And I felt like education was a way for them to be role models so the next generation can see that. It's cool to go to school. It's cool to be swag. It's cool to be educated.
Well, see, that's perfect for us.
These guys, when they idol guys and when we look up to guys and we feel like, he ain't graduate or he ain't graduate high school sometimes. They feel like that's a cool thing to do,
Yeah.
And so the mission is to continue to get the more guys to graduate from all, because I'm working with Beyond the Game Film and also the Project One. And all of these missions are the same, man. We pretty much have that same idea of committing ourselves to education and services, to transition students to student athletes, to pro athletes and retired athletes. And it all just sums up to one, man.
Well,
that's why I love it now, so it's not even like working.
You know what's amazing today you see a lot of kids that are drifting away from school and they're drifting away from sports because they're so tied up in the technology of today's world. The phone is the worst thing it's probably the worst thing that's ever been invented, because you see kids that are 11, 12 years old that have these mini computers in their hand, and it takes them away from everything. I mean, even at our local park, the baseball numbers are down. They couldn't even field teams for the summer league. But I wanted to ask, I didn't ask this question to a lot of people, and I wanted to ask it to you because you deal with the NFL. What do they do with these players when they come in and you're 21, you're 22 years old, and you're handed a check for, say, $50 million or something like that? I'm not saying you're going to be handed that right away. I mean, there's guaranteed money the whole 9 yards. What prepares them for that? I mean, that is a life-changing experience alone, to have a young kid come in here that's never had that kind of money, and now is what's there? What does the NFL offer to help them out? Because let me tell you,
they offer many services. They offer many services, and they introduce us to so many people who they currently work with in the past, who they have these partnerships with, and it can be through a financial institution, it can be through an agency, it can be through another form of a resource, real estate. So what they do is, through a rookie symposium, they take us through a long, tedious, rigorous day. And they expect us to be paying attention all them damn 25 hours to understand what's about to take place. Well, no. But they also throw in activities, and programs that grabs our attention. But it's just like this. I feel like everything starts at home. So when it starts at home, consult with whomever at home first and foremost. Yeah. Some guys don't.
Yeah.
Some guys don't, and guess what? Some guys do. Some guys are taught how to manage money responsibly. Some guys are not taught that. And then some agencies, they want to be a one-stop shop there. So they want to have everybody in their agency that does something for you. And you got to be able to be educated in order to know your stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what's going on, they're going to zip you. And they're going to zip you with a smile and a handshake. So it's more to just the money part of it. It's the lack of knowledge. You know, they don't have the full understanding, and a lot of players are not equipped. And that's why we're changing that. We want to change that environment, and we're going to continue to do this. And that's what I'm really working hard. So from 10 years, 20 years, that question that Tyler asked, that would not be a question. You know, and that's what I'm working on, to be able to create a platform for financial literacy before they go to the NFL.
You know what would be perfect for you? You need to go to the NFL draft. You need to go to the NBA draft. And when they're walking up and they get the hat, you stand there and give them your business card.
No, I can't do that. Robbie Goodell will be pissed off. He'll be mad. But when I do go to the draft, you know, I'm involved with everything. You know, I'm involved with a lot of things with the NFL organization. You know, I'm still
awesome.
a part of the brotherhood. I'm still a part of the lifehood of it, because I embraced it. You know, I took advantage of all my opportunities. So we still go, we still attend, but then they keep these barriers. You know, they keep the genuine, the sincere, and honest people. They try to keep barriers because they want the wolves that's hiding in sheep clothes. They want the wolves to get that attention from those players, so that, because they're working together, and I can't name anyone or any type of company that does, but I'll tell you this: all we have to do is be able to get those players before they get there. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the best time to do it, and that's why we're working with 87 colleges nationwide right now. And we're taking them on these college tours so they can see and understand and hear from veterans, hear from Hall of Famers, hear from GMs, general managers, and hear from coaches. So that can be eliminated in a way, like to alleviate that problem, because it's going to be an ongoing problem. It's not, we're not going to be able to stop it overnight.
No.
So to start implementing that right now, you got to start them on a younger level, introducing them to financial literacy as early as middle school. So that way we don't need to rely on someone else to manage my money. How can you tell an accountant they don't know what they're doing when they showed you that they're experts? They can crunch in all these numbers and say, oh, yeah, I've been doing this for X amount of years, and put together a portfolio, and they make it look all glamorous to you.
Yep.
When you don't even know what a portfolio is. And then you got CPAs coming out of nowhere. What's a CPA? Like, I don't even know what that was. Like, who? Why y'all using these games? Like, why y'all using games at me? I'm thinking, like, what's all these game signs? So it's just foreign. So when something foreign to anyone, no one is gonna know. I can go to another country. Like, how can I count currency in China? You know, they got what's in China? What the currency in China called?
The yen. The yen.
Yen. You know what I'm saying? How can I go to China with 1.2 million US dollars and say, here, let me get 1.2 million yen?
Yeah,
they're gonna be like,
you got to go to exchange place and they're gonna rip you off.
Exactly. If you don't know what you're doing, they're gonna do the same thing.
Man, we just
it's
found that out at
about
the airport. When we went to Ireland, we did an exchange at the airport, and everyone said, don't do it at the airport because the rates are out of this world, and they ripped us off.
They are. They really are. Way off.
Yeah.
You get to that country and you do it, but knowing at least have someone that, for me, when I travel to other countries, when they're talking about currency exchange, I bring that person who's from there, and we're going to exchange this money together, and I'm going to make sure we double count it. Because I'm not finna be no fool, and you're not finna rip me off. I'm coming out here to have a good time. I'm coming to vacate. I'm chilling. I ain't with all that. So it's the same. It's the same philosophy here. But they're just doing it in wolf's clothing, hiding in something with a sheep on. And that's because they lack the knowledge. That's easy, man. That ain't no gimmick. That ain't no shame in it. Because they feel like, well, he should know. You know what I'm saying? He should, but you know what? I'm going to take advantage of him because he don't know. And that's the consequences that you have to pay when you're getting paid. When you're getting paid, everybody come at you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
You don't know who to trust. You don't even know to trust your own relatives at times.
Absolutely.
But how can we expect to change that environment of a player when they receive these top dollars without teaching them financial literacy from A to Z, not from A to B, A to Z, because there's so much within financial literacy that we all can learn, no matter how old or young we are. So that's why it's crucial that we start teaching them as young as they come out the womb. I tell you what, Jewish people do it all the time. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. My agent was Jewish, and he told me. He was like, man, I was teaching my kids how to do money sense. I said, since when? Since they was in my wife's stomach.
Well, let's face
that
it.
To an African-American community, what? They're going to be like, who? Oh, we just praying for our baby to come out with all our fingers. We're praying for our babies to come out with all their toes.
That's the
We're
truth.
praying for our baby to be healthy. You know, we're praying to keep just the love. You know what I'm saying? But the Jews already teaching financial literacy.
Oh, my gosh.
The baby in the womb.
Well, let's face it. This is a world that's full of wolves, and people want to get theirs. And another thing, too, is like $10 million ain't what it used to be a couple years ago. So these kids have to be smart. They have to be educated to stretch that money because they don't know how long your career is going to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'll take $10 million just to let you know.
We have a couple. We have a couple more questions.
You can take $10 million, but what would you do with the $10 million?
The first thing I would do is I'd pay off my parents' house and debt. That's the first thing.
But the first thing I'll tell you, the first thing I would do is I would definitely invest it the right way. I would go to my church, make a nice donation to my church, and I've always said this: if I became wealthy, I'm going to St. Jude's Hospital and I'm making a huge donation to them for what they do to those kids.
Both of you guys have great hearts, man. I really adore that, and I admire to hear that. And you see, y'all would do the same thing that some players do right away. You see, both of you guys, both of you two would do some of the same things already. Now, what the next step is? Now you're left with you deduct what you're left with, and then you have to work with that. Now, how would you manage that without knowing the knowledge of managing money? And that's where a lot of players fail at. You know, they fail at not knowing how to manage money responsibly. That's all.
Well, see, I have no entourage now, so if I got rich and I got an entourage, I know it's all fake, so I'm just kicking them to the curb. But hey, I know you're busy.
Yeah, that happens, man. I've seen it happen to the best of the best, too, no lie.
Look at Trent Richardson.
And I used to be questioning that. Like, I'm like, man, when you know him? When you met him? Oh, man, that's my homeboy cousin. See, that's your homeboy cousin. That's a third party. Like, how he get in the circle now because he's your homeboy cousin?
All they want is money. All they want is some of the money.
You see what I'm saying? That's it. That's all, man. They come like,
and that's messed up.
Yeah, it is. It's very messed up. It's saddening, man. It's really saddening.
You know what's funny, Jarvis, is my son went to school at Saquon. He knew Saquon. They talked a lot. We tried to get him on the podcast, and it's so difficult just to get in contact with him because of the whole PR thing. And the chances of us getting him on here are slim to none, but we keep trying. But hey,
just keep trying, man. Just keep trying.
We know you're.
I'm going to try to bring him out. I'll try to bring him out. You know, I really would. I'll work on him to try to bring him out. But it's just going to be. I'm going to let things slow down for him a little bit. You know, he's just finishing up his rookie year, and that team that's around him right now, he would start to learn them. He would start to understand.
Yeah. And
eventually, what he thinks, and I'm not speaking for him nor the team he's around because I don't know any of them.
Rock Nation's huge.
Yes, it would start to slow down for him. And if you guys are friends, man, I hope you don't allow that to get in the way of you guys' friendship. I'll just say that.
Well, hey, I know you're traveling a lot and you're busy, but I just have two more quick questions I wanted to ask you that I wanted to get in earlier, but we didn't have a chance to. Randy Gregory, and you know Randy Gregory's story. He's filing for a full reinstatement on Monday. And like I said to you before when we got on the air, this is going to be a huge decision for the NFL what they do here because they could basically say, you know what, this is like your third strike, you're done with football, you're suspended for the year. Or they can come back and say, you know what, enough of this stuff. we're going to take a look at this. How is medical marijuana helping these people? Should we get them off of painkillers and stuff like that? That could turn into an addiction on heroin or other things down the road. Do you think that this is going to be a huge decision for the NFL as far as whether I personally don't think they should punish him. You know, he's had one slip up in over a year, and I think that the stat is 88% of people that have an addiction problem, they usually do slip up once or twice. But I don't think that you should ruin this guy's career. I think they should start educating themselves and actually helping these guys out.
Yeah, I agree. I know that just from many recent studies that prescription drugs is another gateway to another drug. I would say
absolutely. And the other drug's cheaper.
Yep. And then as far as the medical marijuana, I have the slightest idea of, you know, how that influences bad behavior or any type of manipulative action. So I didn't do enough research on medical marijuana yet to be able to voice my opinion on the use of it. But I do know that marijuana was growing for the longest, you know, and it got a lot of people incarcerated at the time. So I'm thinking if the U.S. really decides to continue to allow medical marijuana to be legal, I feel like someone in the government, I'll say, someone in the government should be governing the actual medical marijuana processing. And it's bigger than just for NFL or NBA or Major League Baseball or whomever athlete. I think it's bigger than that. So, but I do think as a country, and if one state feel like, okay, medical marijuana is okay, and then you have, because that could be something that he ran into, you know, because one state passed the law for medical marijuana, and then you have some states that still didn't buy into medical marijuana, and then you have to look at contract agreements. So it's just so many moving pieces to where it's just difficult these days for anything, you know. So I don't know, man. It's just something that we got to just keep learning from and making the appropriate adjustments to life as itself. But I that's just something that it just blows my mind how this can be a problem for this man. You know, I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that like they should just let anyone can light up whenever they want. Like after the game, you see guys in interviews and they're smoking or whatever like that. But I'm like, as long as it's medically controlled, I mean,
like at home or something.
Washington, D.C., our capital, it's legal down there for recreational and medical. I don't understand why it's not. And I'm not an advocate for it at all. I don't care what happens. Whatever happens, that happens. But I'm just saying, these guys, you know, they're putting their bodies through like we talked about before with several guests. It's a train wreck. Every snap, every play, they have to deal with pain and injuries, and they have to take these pills to perform because if they don't do their job, it's the next man up, and this is their livelihood.
Absolutely.
So they got to take whatever or do whatever they can to get them to next week. So I think whether it's CBD oil or something that helps them, I think it's a lot better than popping some kind of antibiotic.
And as long as they use it right, like they're not overdoing it, like in an interview, like you said.
Yeah. Anything that we over intake, it's not good for you. You know what I'm saying? So I think in moderation, you know, just like a cup of wine, like a glass of wine, or a cup of, you know, a shot of tequila, you know, a shot of cognac, you know, in moderation, just like eating meat. You know, I don't eat meat, but sometimes I want a double cheeseburger from McDonald's with snack sauce. You know, but it's in moderation. I don't overdo it, but I feel like still to each his own. But at the end of the day, man, health is always important, you know. So, I mean, everyone has a decision to make, you know, for themselves.
Yeah.
And we sometimes put ourselves in situations that we don't belong in but it's so easy to get into them and hard to get out of.
That's absolutely
All right,
true.
I'm
That's true.
gonna. This is our last question, and I want to read this because I heard this today, and we talked about it a little bit beforehand. NBC5 out of Dallas, Texas, is doing a story today. It's on mental skills coaching that's taking over sports. It's helping players deal with depression and anxiety. As of right now, Major League Baseball has 28 teams of the 30 that have these coaches on them. The NFL, they're making it mandatory for this year that every team has to have some kind of mental skills coach.
I like it.
Adam Silver of the NBA commissioner, said that 20 years ago you'd go into a locker room and you would see like radios are playing, the players are hanging out together, they're all like coming together as one. Now you go in a locker room, you see guys with their own headphones on, they're in their phones, they're on doing their own individual things where there's no one there to help them cope with what's going on. Social media is a big thing today. How do players handle what's being talked about in the media about them? Going on a slump as a baseball player, who's there to talk to them? So these coaches are coming in to help these guys out with these problems. What do you think about all this stuff?
I absolutely love it. I have a master's in counseling, and I do know from a standpoint of just non-athletes as a clinician in the real world, working with parents and their children. Holding those counseling sessions were very useful and helpful. And I think that for moving toward the athletic world, it's a huge need for it. It's been a huge need for it, and I'm happy that they're finally starting to understand that and bring that into place by mandating it to be, because you have emotional performance from all these athletes. And cognitively, when you look at the adrenaline rates, when you look at the health factors that's involved with the game, just the game itself alone, and then all the contacts and all sports too, just from playing these sports on this highest level, you need someone to consult with on that level from a mental standpoint, because not everyone is skilled in that area. Not everyone goes to school for that. Not everyone understands the nature of communicating with others that have other type of issues or dysfunctions, because a lot of times without it being identified, no one would never know until something happens. So that's like saying you're not taking preventative methods. You're just reacting to the cause in regards to trying to prevent the cause.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the mental piece is going to be key from a cognitive, emotional standpoint. I think it's beautiful. From trauma, that also can prevent trauma behavior, traumatized behavior. So I love it. I'm definitely gonna look more into it myself, because they call the right people, you know what I'm saying? So they need to be calling me.
Yeah,
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
One thing I like that especially is we were goofing around earlier about his name is Marcus Williams, the guy that missed the huge tackle against the Minnesota Vikings. You think about you think about someone so young, okay, and how big social media is too. He misses that play. The first thing you're gonna see on social media is your picture posted everywhere, and people giving some really bad comments. And to have people to talk to, that's the only way you're going to get through that, because he's just going to hold that in the whole time, and it's not good to hold stuff like that in.
Well, what's sad? That was on the bottom line of Sports Center or some sports news agency, because there was probably people there writing about it as it happened. So before he got into that locker room, the whole world knew he just missed the biggest tackle of the game.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly, man. And that's that pressure again that comes along with playing the game on any level, in all sports. You're going to be criticized.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's going to come with judgment. It's going to come with condemnation. It's going to come with praise. It's going to come with elevation. And that's the part of what support that athletes should have in place, because just to be able to perform at that level, it's an accomplishment, but people on the outside, like, according to some of the fans, that they may feel like, okay, well, damn, it's one of the biggest tackles of the game that caused them to lose or something, right? But then what about that player who was able to make him miss? He's a professional as well.
Exactly.
So on the flip side, he's getting praise for doing his job, and then the guy who missed the tackle, he's not, because he didn't do his job. But just that one play, and you see that one play can really tarnish a person.
Can haunt you forever.
And then think about bigger episodes than just a play of a sport game. You know what I'm saying? Think about on a real level of that one play in your life that can really jeopardize your entire career.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a great thing, and I really support that that's being in place and mandated, and I definitely want to be a part of it in some capacity.
Hey,
You
Jarvis,
guys will be hearing about that too.
not to rub this in, but I'm just looking here on ESPN, and they have for the best triplets in the NFL for 2019, they have the Dolphins ranked 32nd.
It's okay. I saw
They have-
faith in them.
They have
You know what?
Josh Rosen's
Hey.
ranked 32nd.
That's okay.
Kenny-
That's okay.
Underdogs,
Hey, you know what?
baby.
We the
Underdogs.
We the
Underdogs.
underdogs.
Yo,
Thank you. Yeah,
how-
we the underdogs.
Let me ask you
Yeah.
this: How do
That's cool.
they have Kenny Stills ranked as the 31st receiver in the NFL? That is insane.
Well, he was injured.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You
but
also have Drake, too, who's
man,
good.
Don't believe in the hype. Don't believe in the hype, man. They hyping us up right now. They don't know they're giving us motivation right now by pushing us to 32nd team. So that's cool. I wish they would have had us at the 35th team. It's okay. All we got to do is keep on climbing, baby, because, look, we can't
Getting
go
fired
down.
up in
Ain't
here.
no pressure on us. No pressure. We 32. Ain't no pressure. We just
Exactly.
going to go out and have fun.
Hey.
Let's go have fun, and let's go win some games, and watch me move up that ladder. Because you can't
Absolutely.
get no down below than that.
Well, hey, before we let you go, you told us you're in Vegas. Do you want to talk about any upcoming projects or anything that you're working on or doing?
Yes, thank you. So we have a film that's about to be released. It's a documentary, and it's called Beyond the Game. We're doing a pre-release in August, and this film, and it will be released in the fall. Not only is it going to be in AMC theaters nationwide, globally, we also have some time on Netflix. And I think it was 5 years on Netflix. So please, you guys have social media. I'm going to follow up with you all again. Don't make this the last call. But I do want to come back on, and I want to promote it the right way, because my PR team is creating my social media. So that way, like I told you, I'm going to pull it all out when we roll out the carpet. We have 3 red premiere carpets along the way with this film. It's a documentary consisting of high-profile celebrities and some of you guys and some of the guys that's in the film, and also the women currently play the game on a professional level of all sports. And I'll mention those sports right now. You have National Football League, Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, NASCAR, for anyone that likes to drive fast. We have Major League Soccer. We have a lot of student athletes and 87 colleges that's involved. But all the extra footage, and this is the biggest part that I love about being an associate producer of this film. Yes, I am an associate producer. We're going to donate back into educational resources, colleges and universities. We went independent so that way we can control the assets.
That's awesome.
We can control the funds. We can control the timing instead of allowing a host like the NFL Network or HBO or ESPN. They'll give us a time limit, and of course they'll charge us. So going independent was a way that was a genius idea, because not only do we have these red carpet premiere tours in Los Angeles, New York City, and in Dallas, and I invite you to come out to the New York City one, because I know you guys familiar with the area, and I'll give you guys the tentative dates as we get closer to the time. But that's my project that I'm working on now.
Sounds
out
awesome.
here, and we're filming from. I mean, we've been filming for the last year and some change, and now we're currently doing it in Vegas with the NBA Summer Games. Just getting some guys in the film of the draft. We had March Madness in it. We got some
That's
coverage
awesome.
in March Madness. Big Vital, everybody love Big Vital. And I could name a few people, but I don't want to spoil it for no one.
No, you're fine.
But
You're fine.
We have a lot of great celebrity basketball players, football players, WNBA players. General managers, famous Hall of Famers that still live today.
Well, you could always put some low-level podcasters on there.
You can. Well, low level, I won't consider you guys low level because you guys have the best duo. No one has a duo like you two.
Hey, we appreciate that.
I've been on a few podcasts myself. I did a lot of things in the media, so I love it. It's been fun. It's been real, authentic.
Well, I got to tell you something, and I'm not saying it's just because you're on the phone with us right now. This has been the most entertaining and laid-back conversation that we've had with anybody as far as celebrity status. I mean, it's like talking to a friend. It's not like talking to like a famous person. I'm serious. This has been it's been great. It's been a really good time. I mean,
that goes back and forth, and I feel that vibe because you guys. I felt it right away, and I picked up on synergy. And we all love to gravitate to whatever we're gravitating to. So negative sometimes gravitate to negativity. And then positive gravitates to positivity. And it's been a very positive conversation. It's been a positive talk. And I love real talk, positive talk. I'm about promoting any and everything that's positive. And I will definitely promote you all. And I want you all to come out. I want you guys to be a part of what we're doing and some of the things that I'm working on just to get you guys more involved and more traction because it's a great way of networking. It's a great way of getting you all in front of the right people. Also into more, you guys can expand this. You say low level. I don't think low level. I think high level for you too. That's the way my mind works, and once we set that in our mind and obtain it as a goal, we can reach that goal. Absolutely. And I want to leave you guys with that. Because this can grow out, and I want to be a part of it when it does. So don't forget about me when y'all do.
We'll definitely have you on again.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about because we didn't even get into your Miami Marlins yet.
Oh, yeah, we'll save that one.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, it's been a true blessing, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And seriously, if you do invite us to those events in New York City, we'll be there.
Absolutely, I will, and I'm definitely going to follow up with you. You have my contact information, so I'm telling you, like I said earlier, we only have our word, and that's what God gave us to follow through with our words, and that's mine. Man, ask Tony about me, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell you, you'll definitely be hearing from me again because I'm looking at the football schedule. The Cowboys play Miami September 22nd. You'll be hearing a lot from me that day.
And you're going to be hearing a lot from me going crazy because watch when we take that victory. It's going to be something to talk about.
It's been a blast.
And I'm going to have all the stats with me, too. I'm going to be ready.
It's been awesome, man. Had some really good laughs and just all the information you're giving us. It's been like you said, it's been awesome just to have you here, man.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys.
Well, God bless, and keep staying busy, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll be definitely in touch with you. Got to have you on again, and I won't bug you too much, but whenever you have free time, if you're willing to talk, just hit me up, and then we'll get you on again because we always like talking about sports.
Absolutely, I do too, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chris and Tyler, man. K&T, y'all go all the way with me.
All right, God bless, Jarvis. Have a good one.
All right, have a great one.
All right, bye.
All right, so that was Jarvis Johnson with us, and
blown away. I am absolutely blown away. That was by far, and I'm not saying this just to say that was by far probably one of our best interviews ever.
It was just very open, and the laughs we had, it was just so genuine. It was just like exactly what we expect to have on this podcast is just to make you guys feel like you're here with us, and we're just laid back conversation.
It didn't seem like it was like a professional interview. It just seemed like a bunch of guys just shooting the crap about sports, and it was just amazing to go through what we went through with him, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah. So guys, we're gonna talk a little sports, but this podcast went a little longer than we expected, so we're probably gonna record Sunday about sports with all the Russell Westbrook drama going on and everything with the baseball pitches.
And the Yankees are winning again.
Are they already?
They're up 4-0 already. So we're definitely gonna have Jarvis back on again because I'm telling you that was awesome. That was awesome. And if he invites us to New York, we're there.
We'll pull out our phone and record people.
Yeah. But we'll pick up on this podcast probably Saturday night or Sunday. We'll do another one and we'll talk about all the NBA stuff that's going on. And I have some analytic stats on baseball, how the ball is traveling further, and some stats to back it up.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and Everything's going to be on our platforms. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. And we hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you next time.
So excited.